Charge 1, obey all laws. Between 10/10/23 and 12/6/23, your behavior in the program became increasingly and progressively intimidating, aggressive, and threatening. While in a public place, you were verbally abusive toward residents of the program, staff, and parole with the intent of causing inconvenience and alarm. You made several statements indicating you would inflict physical harm on others. These actions caused inconvenience and alarm and recklessly created risk. Your behavior intentionally placed the residents, staff, and parole in fear of imminent serious physical injury. Your behavior meets the threshold for the Connecticut State Statute 53A-181 breach of peace in the second degree and 53A-63 threatening in the second degree. On 12/6/23, during your remand to custody, you intended to alarm P.O. Babich by engaging in violent and threatening behavior in the halfway house. On 2 occasions, you threatened to spit in her face and made the sound of hawking a loogie. You used abusive, obscene language, calling her a fucking clown, a fucking cracker, a fucking cracker, a fucking cracker, and a fucking monkey. You also stated I should have just fucking whooped your fucking ass with fucking cuffs off, and she's lucky I didn't crack her fucking head. Based on your actions, you are in violation of Connecticut General Statute 53A-181 breach of peace in the second. Charge number 2, halfway house placement. On 11/28/23, you were unaccountable in the community for 1.5 hours. You did not have permission from the halfway house staff or parole to be in the community. Your whereabouts were unknown. This is a violation of halfway house rules and regulations. On 9/20/23, you were placed at a facility designated by Parole and Community Services. On 12/6/23, due to ongoing intimidating, aggressive, and threatening behavior towards staff and other residents and not abiding by the written rules of the facility, the program administration asked for your removal. Renaissance East was your only approved residence. Charge 3, mental health treatment. From 10/10/23 to 10/25/23, you refused prescribed medication while psychiatrically hospitalized multiple times. It is also documented that you stopped taking your prescribed medication, Zyprexa, an antipsychotic, shortly after you entered the REACH program in May of 2023. You participated in a psychological evaluation and met with a social worker and APRN. You were diagnosed with a mental illness. You told the social worker and APRN you did not want medication and would not take them. As a result of your removal from the community due to your behavior, you were unsuccessfully discharged from mental health programming.
Thank you. And the state has filed the following exhibits that are pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, signed parole conditions. B, remand actual custody order. C, notice of parole violation, fully rights. D, parole violation report. E, Renaissance East incident report, removal request, unsuccessful discharge report. F, signed halfway house agreement. G, Renaissance incident report 10/10/23. H, misconduct. I, Waterbury Hospital W10. J, Renaissance incident report 10/27/23. K, Renaissance incident report 11/5/23. L, Renaissance incident report 11/15/23. M, Renaissance incident report 11/25/23. N, misconduct. O, Renaissance incident report 12/4/23. Q, McCall email. R is CT state statute breach of peace second. S, CT state statute threatening second degree description. T was body cam footage labeled at Wolcott Street, and U is McCall discharge from programming email. Sir, did you receive notice of parole violation report, and the other documents I just marked, and did you review them?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And we have no witnesses today. So it is now the state's opportunity. If you would like to speak to the evidence submitted, I'm just going to swear you both in under oath today so you can both speak today. So can you please raise your right hand for me? You solemnly swear, sign, sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and but the truth, so help you God, upon penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So P.O. Goodman, would you like to make any statements at this time?
Just related to the charges, I mean, Mr. Giles did very well when he was initially placed in Renaissance, but however, when he went to the REACH program and stopped taking his medication, his behavior became very erratic. He was known to not show or report to programming or for reporting at Parole and Community Services. He reports that, he stopped taking his medication because he didn't need it, because he wasn't mentally ill. So we're not quite sure why his demeanor changed once he was in the community. The only explanation we have is that he stopped taking his medication. He became so difficult to manage in a reach bed in an unsupervised, unstructured setting that he had to be removed from that setting and placed back into a halfway house. Upon his readmission to Renaissance, he agreed to abide by all the rules and regulations of programming. And he did not follow those rules and regulations of the halfway house program, nor did he follow through with participating in treatment at McCall, which was being recommended. While at Renaissance, his behavior became increasingly threatening and intimidating to other folks. There were times where there was destruction of property in the program, and the program could no longer manage his behavior and his threats of violence. So they requested his removal. And as you know, and which was submitted, which is the body cam footage of the video of him threatening P.O. Babbage. And it's the state's contention that Mr. Giles can't remain in the community successfully if he continues to threaten violence towards others.
Hold on, sir. You're allowed to speak as soon as she's all set.
And I would like to also point out that upon remand, he has since he's been remanded from the halfway house and going through the prelim and revocation process, has caught in 2 tickets while on the inside, one for fighting, and that was on December 18th. And just a couple weeks ago on the 16th, a contraband class A for a homemade knife.
Shank, no.
Yep, a homemade shank.
Sorry.
Hold on, sir. I'll let you speak, and you're going to be able to say your piece too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So it's important to note that even though he, is
Well,
potentially serving
do you have anything to say just regards to violations? Because you're going to be able to speak again for the second part.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I can wait.
Okay. So, Mr. Giles, so this is your time right now. Do you want to say anything in regards to the violation?
Not too much. Behavior is what it is. I'm really not going to try to quantify that as far as this. Whatever she's talking about is mess. I smoked weed for like 20 some odd years of my life. Kind of stopped smoking bud. But the whole medication thing, this is the thing with that. Cyprexa doesn't do anything but make me sleep and make me lethargic. So my whole point was to try to find another medium as far as medication. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they wanted me on. I know I pretty much, other than outside influences, I do deal with severe diagnosed severe PTSD and anxiety. I'm not going to try to place too much on others, but truth be told, I was being gaslit. And once folks realized, okay, and the point is, I can't go too far as to prove that I know it was told to staff, and then it matriculated to some of the residents. And it's just a tit for tat. It was, we're going to poke you, and I would poke back. Typical BS guy bullcrap. I do pray, I do meditate, but back to the reach bed, I had a gun pulled out on me. I was getting in fights in the community, whether you guys know it or not, 2 and 3 times a week. So the neighborhood that I was in, I just don't adjust well. And I've never really fit in anywhere in my life. But again, that's beside the point. If, I'm guilty of these behaviors on paper, and it is what it is. I can't really do too much. But I'm in jail. The shank I made because I feel safe with a blade on me, and I've been known to get into it. The reason why I caught the ticket and got here, kid hit me first when my back turned. It's on camera. He stole my stuff. I called him on it, told him to get off the block. He made it a point to hit me in front of the CO station with my back turned. It's on camera. A lot of the stuff is, I'm reactive, but I'm reactive for a reason. I do probably At 46, I'm kind of set in my ways. I mean, I've been a fighter all my life. But it is what it is. I'm not going to try to explain away too much. It is what it is. Caught the
You have anything you want to
violation.
say in regards? I want to give you another chance to speak at another time regarding like more of the background and history stuff. But do you have anything in regards to what you're being charged with violating today?
It is what it is. No, I mean, there's not much I can say, man, without a lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you've stated you don't want a lawyer.
I don't think I need a lawyer. I mean, I don't think I need a lawyer. I mean, it is what it is.
Okay.
You
Well,
guys give me the
was your decision. You chose not to have one, so that's why you don't have one.
Yeah, my point is at this point in time, it really doesn't matter. I'm here. It's pretty much a lot. I'm not sure how much time you guys are going to give me. My thing is just to get through it and come out not worse than I am and hopefully better. It is what it is.
Okay,
But
so you don't have anything else just in regards to these violations to say, it sounds like. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna announce my findings with respect to the violation, okay? And then
Yes,
you're gonna
ma'am.
have another chance to speak before I make a recommendation.
yes, ma'am.
So on charge 1, I do find you violated condition, obey our laws, obedience to the law. This is based on the evidence provided, which was exhibits EOR, JST on part 1 and RNT on part 2. Charge 2, like I said, was not taken into consideration as a no finding was made at the time of the preliminary hearing. On charge 3, I do find you violated condition, halfway house placement, based on evidence provided to support the charge, F and N on part 1 and E and F on part 2. On charge 4, I do find you violate condition, additional board condition, mental health treatment based on the evidence provided in support of the charge, exhibits H and I. So that's the fact finding portion of this hearing. Before I make a recommendation, the state will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. After the state is finished, you will have the same opportunity. This purpose of the hearing, part of the hearing, is to help determine what outcome I will recommend. So, P.O. Goodman, I don't know if you'd like to say anything else at this time.
Just a few things. Thank you.
Okay.
Based on Mr. Giles' presentation here today, it's very tangential, which is some of our concerns of what goes on with him when he's in the community. Mr. Giles, this is not his first rodeo. In terms of his history, all of his charges in Connecticut and Massachusetts are violent charges. Threatening, physical violence. He does not discriminate when it comes to his victims. They're men, they're women, they're infants. We are recommending the full sanction that the BOPP and the statute will allow based on continuing and ongoing use of threats and violence to meet his needs. We would need a significant amount of time to plan for his release. It should be of note that he has been evaluated while he has been in the facility. He is not currently on any mental health or medical medications. He's still continuing to collect tickets for similar behavior. So the community and we have the state has a very high concern for the safety of the community and for the safety of Mr. Giles. In fact, if he were to be re-released, it's clear that he has been unsuccessful when he is not medicated in the community. And I think that I'm sorry, give me a second. I just completely lost my train of thought.
Mm-hmm.
I also think this, in terms of mental health, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't claim that you have severe quote unquote PTSD, then not follow through with the treatment that's recommended for it, but then choose to react when you're not medicated. So you can't claim that you're being picked at and respond in a particular way because you're mentally ill, but then do nothing to treat the mental illness. It doesn't work that way. So you can't, and in one breath not be mentally ill, not need treatment, and not need medication, and then in the other breath claim that you have a severe mental illness. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Giles, would you like to say anything in regards to this at this time? And what you plan on doing? I mean, what are your plans for if you will go back out into the community? Because at some point, eventually, you will be back out in the community. So what do you plan on doing?
One day at a time, man. One day at a time. Work on today, you know, and then tomorrow will speak for itself. Just biblically, there's a quote in the gospel that says, you know what, sufficient is the troubles for today, and just I have to take everything by moment by moment. I've been in a lot of trouble in my life, you know, and even with all of this, I'm learning how to cope. All of this stuff are issues you have to learn how to cope without them. And that's usually not my first go-to, but I mean, we live in this society. It's toxic. It's toxic. The halfway house, it is what it is. I'm not necessarily going to complain beyond it. It's toxic. It's toxic. When I'm to myself, I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue, but I mean, no man's an island. I understand we have to deal with people, but I don't deal with people. I keep to myself and I stay out of enough, you know, and then even that you're castigated because you may consider you a lone wolf. So I do gravitate to folks I'm supposed to gravitate, and I'm social when I'm supposed to. But other than that, I get, you know, I'm a type A.
Well,
I get into it.
So when you eventually go back out, what do you have places to go? Where do you
in the name
plan
of
on doing?
Jesus? In the name of Jesus, I couldn't even begin there. I have to take it day by day. I pray, I study, I read, I educate myself as much as possible without feeding into what's going on here, so I don't become worse. You know, so I don't. But that day when I'm released, it'll speak for itself. To do what I need to do. You know?
You would need housing. So what area would you go to?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Why? I don't understand why you would want to know that.
So, I could just say this proves the state's point, ma'am, is that there's no interest in change. He has no future goals.
I don't have much to say right now. What are you talking about? I don't want to debate.
I'm just trying to figure out what would you do when you went out? Usually, I mean, we want to know what is going to set you up so you be successful out there. And I'm asking you to articulate to me what you would actively do to better yourself out there, and where you would want to be to better yourself. And have you thought of that? Because you are off special parole this year. In December, you're done. So, I mean, at some point, you're going to be back out there relatively soon. So you should start thinking of a plan of what are you going to do. I mean, you need to start planning.
I have a plan. It's just I don't discuss much. I don't divulge much. I have a plan. At this point in time, I just think it's inconsequential. I have a plan, but I take it day by day.
Okay. So, Goodman, anything else you'd like to say, or Mr. Giles, before I make a recommendation?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Is there anything else that either of you like to add before I make a recommendation?
Not on my end, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm going to be right with you with my recommendation. All right, so I am going to make a recommendation that parole be revoked and you remain incarcerated until your special parole completion date of 12/7/2024. So my findings are going to be presented to the parole board on February 15th. You will receive official written decision from the parole board the week of February 15th, okay? So the parole board's going to make the final decision in what happens. So the parole board can give you a sooner date if they would like to parole you. Otherwise, you would remain incarcerated until your special parole end date of 12/7/24. Okay? So we'll see what happens. You're going to get it in writing, like I said, a week after February 15th, okay?
Yeah,
All right, I wish you the best of luck, sir. You know, get some help in there while you're in here, so you're good when you come out, okay?
I'm good now.
Okay,
If I'm
so you're,
here, if I'm here right now, I'm talking to you, I'm good now.
okay, well, I wish you the best of luck, sir, okay? You're all set.
God bless. Thank you.
You too. Thank you, P.O. Goodman.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Before I unpack the hearing, I want to talk about what he's in for. And frankly, after reading this, I'm just disgusted because he is a monster. When his PO said that he does not discriminate who his victims are, men, women, or infants, she was not exaggerating because that's what he's locked up for. He's locked up for beating near to death a 2.5-year-old baby. You can't make it up. First-degree assault and risk of injury to a child. And you know what's funny? He could face up to 5 years in prison. That's what you get in Connecticut for beating to a pulp a little child. He had broken ribs, a broken left arm, a broken left thigh, and wounds that caused blood clotting to his brain. And that's what he could face 5 years? Are you joking? Charges of risk injury to a minor and cruelty to persons are pending against the child's mother, who did end up getting time. We'll go into that in a second. And thank you, Richard, for putting together this info. It occurred in 2015 when he was held on $250,000 bail. He has a history with the police, having been arrested previously in charges related to assault with a dangerous weapon. What a shocker, huh? Bringing up when he's caught with a knife and he corrects them. No, it's a shank. It's a shank. In 2011, he was arrested by Springfield police on warrants after he was handcuffed and placed in the back of the police car. He became enraged and kicked the rear window out of the car. And we have this article. I'm going to read it to you. I can't share the whole screen because it shows his address that's 15 years old, but you never know with YouTube. If you share an address, they can give you they can give you a what's it called, a violation. And by the way, with the way YouTube works, for anyone who's wondering, 3 violations and your channel's gone. That's it. Period. There's no arguing ifs, ands, or buts. And by the way, it could be 3 violations over the course of a decade. So they have a 3-strike you roll out, just like the United States had back in the day. And I'm not kidding when I say that. It's a scary thing to be a YouTuber. So Springfield, a 34-year-old Springfield man wanted by police on a number of warrants, allegedly kicked out the left rear passenger window of a police cruiser following his arrest on Maple. He had him in the car while he was wearing handcuffs, but he was ultimately subdued with pepper spray. The incident began shortly after 6:30 a.m. when the detectives of the Department Warrants Apprehension Unit went to the front door of his home, where Giles attempted to escape out the back. They caught him and was then assaulted by the suspect. The officers handcuffed him, put him in the rear cruiser, and then dealt with his girlfriend, who helped him in his attempts to escape from the home. That's when Giles kicked out the window of the cruiser. Giles was wanted a number of warrants, including 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon. Wow, what a shocker. Threats to commit a crime pertaining to most recent incident, was also charged with assault of a police officer. And, if you remember in this case, he got just 5 years. So he got the maximum. Because I don't know why. I guess in Connecticut, they have also weak DAs. I mean, a 2.5-year-old completely broke 3 broken bones and brain clots. That's the most you're going to go for is, let's just take a plea deal, 5 years, and then the 5-year special parole, which is something the judge can add on, something different here in Connecticut. And it just boils my blood. It really does. It's if you want to look up kicking the ball down the road, you probably see Connecticut parole hearings. The man's getting out. He doesn't care. What do you think's going to happen? But no, let's just give him a 5-year. And they're just, well, it's 5 years plus 5 year special parole. So he does anything wrong and he'll get revoked. But then what happens after 10 years? What child is safe? What's going to happen next? I mean, and he says it himself. And it is interesting in this parole hearing. It surprised me when he started to talk, because he sounds, like a well-educated, smart guy. And, just the language that he's using, and it's really the big differentiator, I think, between the Louisiana and Connecticut parole hearings, is you can see the level of education provided in Connecticut. And in his case, he's probably from Boston, and there are a lot of people from New Jersey and from New York. And I think that it's the investment of education, which is an interesting thing. My grandmother was a special ed teacher in Connecticut for many, many years. She got her master's degree at a time when very few women were doing that. She became a teacher, I think, for like 15 years or something. And then one day, this is before this was ever a thing that this could happen. This is probably in the late 70s, early 80s. One of her students walked into her classroom with a loaded gun and pointed it at her. And he did it because she failed him, and he was going to be put back a grade. And he was so upset. And that was the last day she ever taught. She just couldn't make it. That was it. Thank God he didn't pull the trigger. But I don't have any other details of the story. It's not something my grandparents really spoke about, like from a PTS point of view. It was more like just a story they shared. But obviously it affected her to the extent she couldn't go back. So he said, I can't quantify my behavior. The medication was making me lethargic. I was being gaslit. I feel safe with the blade on me. It was such a from like seeing him holding his ears, his hands to his ears, and like the whole mannerism thing, to then really just articulating himself and what I thought was on a high level, so to speak. Albeit when you listen to it's now the woman. Let me see here. This is the mother of the baby. This is the other side of evil that we're looking at. If you want to see what evil looks at, you're looking at it right here. She was given just a 1-year sentence for not preventing the abuse of her infant son. Because remember, they said it took about 2 weeks for them to even report the injuries. So she's living there with letting him beat her son. The poor thing is as you can only imagine. And she was just given 1 year. Connecticut mother authorities say did nothing to prevent her boyfriend from seriously injuring their 10-week-old baby, and has since been sentenced to prison. She pleaded not guilty, and she was sentenced to 1 year. She pleaded guilty Tuesday. Risk injury to a minor. She was sentenced to 1 year behind bars. Police charged 34-year-old after the baby was found to have injuries, including a broken left arm, broken ribs, and a wound that caused blood clotting. They forgot about the broken hip. So I don't know why she would only get 1 year. Just as culpable. It's sick. The system is not designed to protect our children. It's just not. The more that you watch this, the more that you see these hearings, they don't care. And it speaks it in the sentencing. It shows in the legislation. It shows in the way that they handle these things. Imagine you see that baby, and then you just say, you know what, I'm going to do a plea deal with you where the most you can get is 5 years. Why didn't they throw the book at him? Why didn't they say, no, we're going to go to court and we're going to get you at attempted homicide? Or who knows how many charges you could have thrown at him. But gosh, we might lose in court. We're pretty busy. Let's just 5 years. And the mother gets 1. And now you have a broken baby, literally, and you listen to the beginning of his hearing, and it's just like the cursing and the language and the this and the that. It was just such a wild hearing. And he just doesn't care. We're seeing a trend here. We'll have to do more hearings, but there's something like as if they're just a mockery of the justice system. The way that we see a lot of these parolees, and I haven't seen a lot of them, but we've already shown a few where they just don't seem to care and have any respect for the system. And it's quite different than what we're used to seeing in Louisiana. And that's saying something. But time will tell. Thank you again, Richard, for putting this together. And with that, I'll let you go.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon the penalty of perjury?
Yes,
Can you say I do, please?
I do.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Brown, can you please state your name for the board?
Cornell Brown.
And you may now explain why you believe you are suitable for an absolute pardon.
Well, I feel suitable for the pardon because, like, I'm a role model to kids. Ever since my charge has been since I was 21, and I'm 31 now. So, I really learned my lesson from then to now, and it feel like ever since the charges, it feels like I've been actually still being like whooped on because of the charges. Actually, it feel like I'm still going through the same thing, not getting jobs for them. It's like doing odd jobs so to take care of my kids and stuff like that. I just want to get back into living in a world is, without still feeling like I was 21.
Yeah. Mr. Brown, why are we fighting with everyone?
Say it again.
Why are you fighting with everyone?
What you mean fighting with who?
Back in the day, it seemed like you were fighting with everybody.
Oh
All your
yeah,
offenses. Were we
because
so
I
angry?
was because I was angry child. Didn't really have my parents. I was living with my aunt as a child, so like the transition to my mother's house was kind of crazy. So I was still kind of going through that, and so I was like 21, got in trouble.
Mm-hmm. So, well, yeah. How did you turn it around? Did you take any programming? Domestic violence, anger management, anything like that?
Yeah, I took anger management, domestic violence classes. I even got my OSHA. I got my high school diploma. Was going to college for a few years. Did barbering school. I've done a lot of things.
Yeah. So you feel like you've grown and matured over these past 9 years.
Yes.
So, what are you doing for work now, sir?
Right now, I'm doing barbering. Like I'm just doing that like really at my house right now because it's like as I told you, like the felonies kind of stopping me from getting like the jobs I actually want to go out and get.
What is it that you want to do, sir?
What I really wanted to be like right now, I just wanted to enjoy my early 20 years. I just wanted to enjoy that, but I can't enjoy that now.
What do you want to do for work? If you were granted
Work,
where
for anything, I could do anything for work. Really, I'm not really in like it. Don't. I could do any type of work. Really.
Well, but you just said you can't really apply to the jobs you want to apply for because of your criminal
Yeah,
record.
I applied
If you have one, where would you apply?
I applied to anywhere right now. I have a real job, so
Okay.
I will apply anywhere.
Okay. All right, Ms. Turner.
Do I understand, Mr. Brown, you didn't finish barbering school?
Yes, I didn't finish it.
How come?
I had a son at the time, so I was basically like a stay at home dad at the point.
Do you still have a son?
Yes, I got 2 sons.
Okay, so what are their ages?
One is 11 and my youngest is 6.
Okay, so they're in school, so you don't, you don't have
Yeah.
to stay home and save on daycare. So I think where my colleague was going is, what do you aspire to do? Do you have life goals?
Yes, I have a lot of life
Okay,
goals.
so talk to me about them that relate to providing for your family
Like,
and, expanding your horizons.
like at the point like I was saying, I was going to college, and that was for child development. I was doing that. Then when I found out that my felony wouldn't let me get that job, I had to stop that. And then it was a point, like you said, I was going to barbering school, and then it felt like when I got to a certain point and I was gonna open up my own business and stuff like this, they was telling me, oh, I can't do this because of my felonies or all of this. So I had to stop doing that at a point. So once I stopped that, I wound up doing like
Okay,
take
so
care
I'm
of my
not talking about the
6-year-old son.
past now, Mr. Cornell. I'm talking about, or Brown, excuse me. I'm talking about your future. What is it that you want to invest your time and your energy in to create for yourself and your family?
I want to do a lot of stuff. I don't know. Like, I'm 31. I don't know. Like, I still have a lot of time on my hands. Like, I don't know what I
The
really want
clock's
to
ticking.
do.
I mean, your kids are getting older, and I guess I'm just not really understanding if you want to pardon for employment reasons, and I'm trying to pin you down on what that is.
Yeah, because right now it's being 21, trying to look for jobs, to being 31 now. You go through a lot. It's not like I talk to the victims. It's not like I go through the things with victims. I don't even talk to them. Only victim it was like my son's mom. But other than that, like, we kind of cool. But other than that, I'm trying to do as best as I can as a man.
Okay,
I
well,
don't have
you're going to
all
go
the
back out into the job market if you're granted a pardon. And the issue isn't going to be that you have a record. The issue is going to be you haven't worked for the last 10 years. So you're going to have
I've
to
done
account for that to make you an attractive candidate to hire. And you just jumping around to different things that you like to do or that you're able to do from here to there. I saw you're driving for
Yeah.
Uber. And just,
I did
you're 31. It's time to get a focus is all I'm saying. I have no more questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Chan.
So, Mr. Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
just listening to you, it doesn't sound like you have any ambition to do anything. You think 31 is very young and that you think you have a lot of time before you have to decide what you want to do. So why can't you figure that at age 31?
Ma'am, like I said, I was 21 at the time. So, like, when I did have something that I really wanted to do, that felony stopped me from doing that. So I couldn't do that. It's like certain things I couldn't do because of the felony. Now that I'm getting to a point where I'm trying to do something that I like,
Mr. Brown,
alternatives and stuff like that.
Mr. Brown, what it is that you wanted to do that you weren't allowed to do?
Really, I just want to work with kids and stuff. Like I don't like, that's what was the first point of me doing the
What
child
would that
development.
do what?
I gotta be a teacher. I could do anything. I gotta get to it. I can't tell you what I really want to be until I get into what I have to do. Right now, I can't do that without a pardon. I can't do that
Mr.
without a
Brown.
pardon.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
you have to, most people figure out what they have to do what they want to do or love to do, and then figure out what it is that they need to do to accomplish that. You seem to be doing it backwards. There are a lot of people that I know that have gone to barbering school and completed and will come before us and say, well, if I get a pardon, I just need to apply for the state licensure. Okay?
Yes, ma'am, but I don't have, that's the point of me not having the pardon. If I don't have a pardon, I'm not going to be able to
But you
do
don't
any
really
things
want
I
to be
could
a
do.
barber. You don't really want to be a barber. You say you would like to be a teacher, but
Yes, I wanted to go back to the
have
first thing I did.
what have you done? What is
Girlfriend,
the requirements to work with children or be a teacher?
my girlfriend, she does pageants, so I usually, when it was anytime she done pageants and stuff like that, I would help her do the pageants. I just did a thing with Donald. Is a dude that lives out here. I guess he does things with kids and stuff like that. It was like an art show. I'd help them do the art show. Because I've done a lot of things with
Specifically
kids.
do you do? What specifically do you do when you helping with the art show?
I engage with the kids, help them do the art, help them do whatever they need to do.
So is that what you want to teach, or you want to go in a classroom?
Like I just want to do things with kids, like not just teach. I just want to be like a role model for kids, like to help them be better.
So if you want to help them
I could
be
even
better,
be a social worker, whatever. I could do a lot. I just haven't really been given that chance.
yes, you have, because the pardon shouldn't stop you if you want to be a social worker to go to school. And the only thing left, I just heard from a gentleman who went and got his master's degree. He talked about getting his 4-year degree, his master's degree, and today he's applying for a pardon. So I really don't understand at age 31 what it is that you want to do, Mr. Brown. So that's my big struggle. Madam
But is
Chair,
that
I'm
gonna
all set. I don't know what else I can ask this gentleman.
Okay. All right.
But that would stop. But I have a question.
Go ahead.
But that would stop me from getting a pardon. I haven't been in trouble. I haven't done nothing to nobody. I've been doing everything I can. It's not like I'm sitting here selling drugs. I'm not going to jail. I'm not doing a lot of things a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm still being looked at like, oh, because I don't know what to do. Like I just told you, there's been a lot of stoppage in my time. There's been a lot of stoppage.
Yeah.
And I can't just stop. I can't just stop doing all the stuff I have to do. I got 2 kids. I still have to support them. No matter what. If I go to school, that's not supporting my kids.
Yeah.
If I don't got no jobs, I ain't supporting my kids.
We
So
understand.
at the end of the day, I'm still making choices. I'm still making choices, bad choices, because I could be at these jobs that's not paying me nothing, working under the table to get hurt, to still not be able to take care of my kids. It'd be crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That don't make no sense, right?
Right.
So I would still have to try. As I'm 31, if I get my pardon, I could have better choices. I have more choices and better choices.
Okay, Mr. Brown. Okay, I'm going to interrupt you because we've already talked about this. We're going around in circles now. We just wanted to ask you if you had dreams and goals. That's all.
Yes, I have dreams and goals, man, but a lot of my dreams and goals is being stopped by a felony.
Yeah.
If I didn't have this felony, I would have been already know what I wanted to do. Everything would be all lined up. I wouldn't have these stoppage in my road. None of that. I would be where I want to be.
So, we're going to discuss your case now, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So, maybe there's a little lack of motivation. Maybe there's some immaturity because of the stoppages that he's referring to. I don't see that as necessarily a reason not to grant the pardon. I would support the pardon today.
Yes, he's been 8 years
Yeah.
without, reoffending, and
Yeah.
he's
Right. There
become
are
a
some
family person. So
Yeah. Yes. All right. In the matter of Cornell Brown, I move to grant a full and absolute pardon. Ms. Turner?
Thank you.
I
Ms. Chance? Aye. My vote is aye. The pardon is granted. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm at a loss for words. I don't know about you. This is new to me, this whole Connecticut pardon hearing thing. But let me just put it this way, and thank you, Miss Rose, for sending me this. She said, "Hey, Mandy, you have to check this out," and I'm glad I did, because I don't know. Here, let me just. What is the purpose of having the hearing? That's my point. What is the purpose? I don't even know if this microphone is working. What is the purpose of having the hearing? I mean, why don't you just have it so that that you just input your information into a form and it sees that you don't have any new felonies or convictions, and it gives you the pardon? Why have the hearing? That was a horrible interview. There was nothing in that interview that would say, oh, this person is deserving to have their record expunged. So if the only criteria is that you haven't gotten a new felony or conviction, then why have the hearing? I'm totally for getting a record expunged. Having a felony has got to be just, it's already hard enough to be successful in life, but now to have that. But he didn't, there was nothing there that they were looking to see. That was frankly a bad interview. I think he admitted to working under the table, to doing, basically just not seeing anything through, saying that he hasn't done anything for the past 10 years because he didn't feel that he can do any. It was, come on, we saw the same hearing. So it's just bizarre. It's bizarre for me to see this. In Louisiana, it's like they want to see someone who has their act together. They want to see someone who is more than just you and me. It's someone who is really like, who has come back against kind of all odds, and has accomplished a lot, and has really made a significant difference and change. And it's very apparent when you see it. And sometimes you'll see someone who's made major changes, but they'll say, you know what, it's been 6 years or it's been 8 years, but we want to see a longer period of time. And again, I'll be a broken record, but if the only criteria is that you don't have another felony, then why even have the interview? I'll have to watch more of these. Maybe they do deny some people, but I can't imagine a case where they would, because how can you have a worse interview? He basically just said, as the last 9 years, he hasn't had a job. He hasn't done anything because of the felony. And when they say, well, you want to work with kids, you don't, it doesn't make a difference. You can go through school, you can get the degree. We've had people that come and say, look, I have my degree, I want to go teach. Let me. And okay, there it is. It's we live in a paradox world, I think. Or maybe it's, it could be that maybe we can find it. Maybe there's a memo or a mission statement of the Connecticut Parole Board that would be helpful to read so we can understand what they're thinking. But that, again, I'll come back to the same thing I said 8 times already. Why even have the hearing? But man, here's another thing off topic. When I hear a fully grown man say that they're working at a pageant, I'm just going to, is that like a beauty pageant for kids? And I'm just like, it's sad that I've seen, with all the terrible things we've seen doing these hearings. But in my opinion, it's like, if you're working with kids, especially like a beauty pageant, you're either like a saint or you're the extreme opposite of that. I don't know if there's like a middle ground. You might say I'm crazy. I mean, it's just my opinion. I have a relative that is actually like runs a school for teenage girls that are troubled. It's like a private. These are kids who are kicked out of other schools, and it's like the same. Even he's like a pillar in the community. He's but I was like, either he's a saint or something. And it's just sad because I know it's a controversial thing for me to say, but I guess I'm just I've kind of lost faith in humanity. I'll tell you, I would not want an adult man anywhere near my kids at a pageant. That's just me, period. But anyways, thank you again, Miss Rose. And with that, we'll move to the next hearing, or I'll let you go.
So we make sure we get time for questions from the board.
Yes, I won't be long. Thank you for you and the board considering my application. I sent it in a few years ago through bipartisan of my lawyer, Sarah Adolph, who helped me fill it out and send it to you guys and to the governor. I appreciate your time right now. So, long story short is I had a domestic abuse, a forgery, and a theft case. These were because of love. Actually, my children's mother, Shannon Lewis, had diabetes type 1, and she had severe. How do I put it? If you ever seen somebody have a seizure, it's that sort of activity where she's not knowing what she's doing. So basically, we stole things from Walmart, not to get drugs, but to get her insulin. So she wouldn't have these attacks, because at the time, back in 2004, the insulin cost so much and we just couldn't afford it. And I couldn't take seeing her like that. We couldn't afford to take her to the hospital or ambulance, people calling the ambulance every time she went into one of these attacks. Now with the domestic violence, sometimes if she's not out of it, she would like become kind of violent, or just she's not in her state of mind. So the neighbor called the police about the loud noise or whatever, and they sat there and they didn't understand her situation. And I also have her here as a character witness on my behalf if need be. So I did my time. I think I did 6 months in Huber. I paid all my restitutions. After that, we had 3 children together. They're 8. My daughter's 8. The boys are 10 and 11. And I have not had not so much as a parking ticket since that time. I've been working at what is that? Fort Howard Cemetery, where I've been employed for a year or 2. And I've also Uber drive, and I also still work with some of my friends that have a small internet company that we do computer programming some of the time, whenever we can get contracts. And so I would like to make this kind of short because I have like 3 bachelor's degrees, 3 associates, 2 bachelors, and I moved here from Flint, Michigan, 22 years ago, and I got into this situation, and I haven't had any problems in Flint, Michigan before I moved to Wisconsin, and I didn't come to Wisconsin to be a criminal. So I sent in some some um from my neighbors, some letters saying that I've been helping them also with the grass or with their snow removal. I don't know if y'all got those, but I have them if need be, and for references. And in conclusion, because I got a long list of pages and pages like everybody else, but I'm not gonna go through all that. In conclusion, I just want my pardon to be done because I've been trying to maintain a steady household, and it's kind of hard to get a real job, and to buy a home. That's something that I've been trying, and the walls are just there, and I can't get around them. I talked to Judge Hammer, and he said yes, I've been doing a wonderful job. However, they couldn't write me a reference. I can't get a reference from the church. I couldn't get a reference from the volunteer people at Meals on Wheels. It seems like it's some kind of some I wouldn't say discrimination. It's more like they didn't want to be responsible, I guess, for, I don't know. But I did a lot of things, charitable things in my community, and I still continue to do. And I just wish that I had a chance to do more for my family right now. So
Thank
in
you, Mr. Taylor.
conclusion, that's all I want to say. Thank you for considering me.
Thank you. We did receive those letters of support, so we do have those. Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Taylor? Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Taylor, I have a couple of questions. You said in your application, you said today as well, that you were committing these crimes to buy insulin for Shannon Lewis. Some of the crimes you committed involved stealing her brother's and mother's identification. And you use that not for insulin, but for cell phone bills, and you also forged an application for a student loan. So how does that work? And there's nothing in the criminal complaint from her brother or her mother about her needing insulin.
Good morning, Pastor. Let me clarify that. I actually, to be honest about it, and I'm telling the guys honest truth, I didn't never do none of those things. I was charged for them. They were trying to sentence me with higher and more substantial sentencing. So I just took those charges because I didn't know it would become a felony or whatever it was. But her mother's has since passed away. I take care of her at the cemetery. Her brother, if you need to talk to David, I would gladly get him in contact with you. Like I said, she's right in the next room if you need to talk to her about the cell phone incidents. And
no, excuse me, I want to talk to you about the forged student loan application.
Well, let me tell you what happened. I was getting in ITT Tech. It's a lot. I see there's a lot going on with that. But I was getting in there, and Shannon signed for a co-signer for me for ITT Tech. Now they thought it was her mother because her mother's name is Sharon Lewis. So they thought it was Sharon Lewis and then Shannon Lewis, and they charged her mother for. But I corrected all that. I
Okay.
put the loans in my name, and since then I paid them all. I paid all the student loans from before ITT Tech, college in Minnesota, and the colleges in Michigan. I paid all those student loans.
And the judge in Brown County supports your application. How does that make you feel?
I'm very honored that he would do such a thing, and very privileged that y'all would consider. And he would say something on my behalf, because actually I thought I was out here alone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Mr. Taylor from the board? None? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor. Appreciate your time today and hope that you enjoy the rest of your morning.
Thank you. You guys, God bless you.
Thank you. All right, our next applicant this morning is Mr. Joseph Leonard.
Okay, so not being able to see the end and not knowing the result is gosh, it is frustrating. So tell me if you still want to do these type of hearings. If this was a Connecticut hearing, I would say he would have gotten approved, right? Why not? But man, it's hard to believe the story that is spun, that he is stealing out of love because they can't get insulin. So they were stealing the insulin. And if that is true, it's just tragic. And but then the story goes on to the fact that the DV charge he has was not that he had done anything to her, but that she was having a seizure, and no one understood that. And here's the thing. I just can't go there, because there's no way that that goes on your record if she's having a seizure. Like, there's just no way. I can't, you're going to tell me that everyone mistook her having a seizure for you beating her up. And then it went on your record. The police wrote the report. I mean, we've seen these things so many times in parole hearings. Yeah, there'll be a police report, an incident, even body cam footage of the DV, and then the person comes in, 3 months later at the parole revocation hearing and says, looks in the eye of the parole board members and says, no, I just fell. And it's like, they're like, well, why would the police put that in their report? And why would the witnesses state that? And why would you have the bruises? And so I just can't. I can't go there. I've just seen too many cases of it. And it's just, and then, he ended up serving 6 months. Now, what wasn't clear to me, did he serve 6 months for the DV, or was it 6 months for the stealing? And if it's for the DV, then I think that's all you need to know right there. And then they go and they catch him on the loan fraud thing. And it's like, man, if you're applying for these type of pardons, you'd think that you'd be prepared. But again, without knowing the outcome, it's hard to really get into it. And I'm just not a fan of that. But again, just watching the Connecticut hearing, it's like, oh, sure, I'm sure they would have granted because he had no new felonies. So I don't know how this state does it. I'm not sure I want to keep doing these hearings if we don't get the outcome, but some of them just surprise me with how really ill-prepared they are. Anyways, love to hear your thoughts. And with that, we'll move